Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. The message appeared on my phone while I was still at work. We need to talk tonight. Please don't be late. It was from my wife, Emily. That sentence shouldn't have meant anything. Married people texted that kind of thing all the time. But something about the way she wrote it made my stomach tighten. No emoji. No love you. Just that flat, cold sentence. We need to talk. I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. Everything okay? She didn't answer. Emily usually replied within seconds, even if it was just a heart emoji or a quick yes. But that afternoon, the silence stretched for hours. By the time I drove home, a strange uneasiness had settled in my chest. When I walked into the house, everything looked normal. The kitchen lights were on. The smell of garlic and butter drifted through the air. Emily stood at the stove, stirring something in a pan. She looked beautiful, like she always did. Her brown hair was tied loosely, strands falling around her face. But something about her posture felt tense. "Hey," I said carefully. She glanced at me and forced a small smile. "Dinner's almost ready." That was it. No hug, no kiss, no casual conversation about our days. Just silence. We sat down at the table a few minutes later. The plates were already served: pasta, garlic bread, a small salad, one of my favorite meals. But Emily barely touched her food. She kept pushing pasta around her plate, like she was rehearsing something in her head. I finally said, "You texted me earlier, what's going on?" Her fork froze midair. For a moment, she didn't look at me. Then she slowly set the fork down. Her voice was quiet when she spoke. "I'm leaving you." The words hit me like someone had dropped a brick on my chest. I actually laughed at first, not because it was funny, because my brain refused to process it. "What?" "I can't do this anymore," she said, staring at the table. My heart started pounding. Where is this coming from? She exhaled shakily. I hadn't been happy for a long time. I felt like the floor had tilted beneath me. Just 2 weeks ago, we'd been watching movies on the couch, sharing popcorn, laughing about some stupid reality show. She'd fallen asleep with her head on my shoulder. Now she was calmly telling me our marriage was over. "Emily, talk to me," I said, my voice cracking slightly. Did I do something? Her eyes flickered with something. Guilt, maybe? "No," she said quickly. "It's not about you." That sentence made something twist inside me. Not about you. People only said that when it was about someone else. Suddenly a dozen little memories started rising in my mind. The late nights at work. The phone she started keeping face down. The times I'd walk into a room, and she'd quickly lock the screen. At the time, I told myself I was being paranoid. Now those memories felt like warning signs I'd ignored. I leaned forward slowly. "Is there someone else?" Emily didn't answer, but her silence said everything. My chest tightened. "How long?" I asked. She rubbed her temples. "Daniel, please, this isn't what I wanted." "How long?" I repeated, louder this time. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "About 4 months." 4 months. A third of a year. For months of smiles, dinners, movie nights. All of it suddenly felt fake. "Who is he?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "A co-worker." "Of course." I let out a hollow laugh. "So the late meetings, the weekend conference, that was all him?" Tears started filling her eyes. I didn't plan for this to happen. That sentence. People always use it like it magically erased the choices they made. I was about to say something else when the doorbell rang. Emily's head snapped toward the door. Her face suddenly went pale. "Were you expecting someone?" I asked. She shook her head quickly. "No." The bell rang again. Whoever it was sounded impatient. I stood up. "Daniel, wait," Emily said suddenly, but I was already walking toward the door. My heart was racing again, though I wasn't sure why. Something in Emily's expression unsettled me. Fear. Real fear. I opened the door, and a man stood there. Mid-30s. Tall. Clean cut. He looked nervous, but determined. "Hi," he said. "I'm looking for Emily." Behind me, I heard a plate clatter. I turned slightly. Emily was standing halfway up from her chair, her face completely drained of color. Emily? The man repeated. I looked between them slowly. The room suddenly felt very quiet. Daniel, Emily whispered. Her voice sounded like it might break. Who is this? I asked calmly. The man shifted awkwardly. My name is Mark, he said. I think we need to talk. My stomach dropped because I already knew. I stepped aside and let him in. Emily looked like she might faint. Mark glanced between us both before speaking. I didn't know she was married. The words landed like a bomb. I slowly turned toward Emily. Her lips trembled. Emily, I said quietly. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was going to tell him tonight, she whispered. Mark frowned. You told me you were divorced. The room spun slightly. Now everyone was confused. Emily covered her face. I didn't know how to stop, she sobbed. Mark looked horrified. I've been seeing her for 3 months, he said to me. But if I knew she had a husband... I raised a hand. I believe you, because the look on his face was pure shock. He hadn't come here to fight. He'd come for answers. Just like me. Emily was crying openly now. I messed everything up, she said. The strange thing was my anger had disappeared. All that remained was exhaustion. I looked at the woman I'd loved for 8 years. And suddenly I realized something. The marriage had ended long before this dinner. Long before this doorbell. Maybe the real moment it ended was the first lie she told. Or the first night she chose someone else. I took a slow breath. Mark, I said calmly, you should go. He nodded immediately. I'm sorry, he said sincerely. Then he walked out. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Emily and I stood there in the quiet. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered. I believe that, but it didn't change anything. Intentions don't erase choices, I said gently. More tears streamed down her face. I thought I wanted to leave, she said. But now, I shook my head. No, my voice was calm now. Steady, now you're just afraid. Silence filled the room again. I walked back to the dining table and looked at the 2 plates of untouched pasta. A meal meant for a normal night, a normal marriage. I picked up my jacket from the chair. Where are you going? Emily asked weakly. I paused at the door. For a walk, I said, because I needed air, space, time to breathe in a life that suddenly felt unfamiliar. Before I stepped outside, I turned back once more. I hope someday you figure out what you really want, I said quietly. Then I opened the door and walked into the night. For the first time in years, completely alone, and strangely, it felt like the first honest moment I'd had in a long time.